today's exercise, we're going to start with jogging in place. We're going to do 50 seconds of movement with a 10-second transition time between each movement. So start with just nice soft on your feet, side to side, shifting your weight, trying to work on nice good posture. Make sure your core muscles are engaged, looking straight ahead. Again, just shifting your weight side to side. Think about loosening up everything from your feet, ankles, knees, hips, back, shoulders, neck, everything we can loosen up here. We want to just kind of keep it soft, but get your heart rate up a little bit, increase some blood flow. And we're just about ready here to take a break. Okay, so go ahead and rest. Next movement we're going to do is a squat. So feet, shoulder, and about hip width apart. You're going to try to sit back here, keeping your weight on your heels. And again, we're going to do 50 seconds of movement and then a 10-second transition time. So focusing on keeping your spine in a neutral position. Another way to think about that is not rounding your back or arching your back, but rather trying to keep it more in kind of a straight alignment. And then as you sit down or sit back like you're sitting into a chair, make sure you're keeping your weight on your heels, keeping your chest up, and then looking straight ahead. You don't really want to look up excessively and you don't want to look down excessively. And so now you can see kind of from this view, keeping your knees out away from each other is also a very important part of doing a squat. So we're getting close to our 50 seconds here. And now go ahead and rest. And then we're going to transition next into a bridge movement. So you're going to lie on the floor on your back. Feet about hip width apart again, maybe a little narrower. And then you're going to push your hips up towards the ceiling, pushing your weight through your heels. The focus here is going to be to keep your core muscles engaged, squeeze your butt muscles, and then again, just push your hips up towards the ceiling to a comfortable height. There's different variations as far as how much support you need with your arms. And so you can start with your arms on the ground as you saw, and then you can bring up your forearms off the ground and then all the way up to arms across your chest to take away support if you are able to. Now, if you find that you are losing your balance or you're rolling to one side or the other, just add the arms back to the ground for additional support. Another thing to keep in mind is you only want to go as high as you comfortably can, and again, keeping your core and butt muscles engaged the whole time. So now we're going to switch to our next movement, which is going to be called a hollow hold. This is one that can be pretty challenging, but is really great for working on core stabilization. So you're going to lift your legs off the floor. A key component here is making sure your core is engaged and you're not rounding or arching your low back. If it becomes too challenging, lift your legs up higher towards the ceiling. If it's too easy, reach your arms up toward or away from your feet and lower your legs towards the ground. This will make it more difficult. Now again, check in with your low back by reaching your hands to see if you can reach underneath. You shouldn't have space between there. You want contact with your low back on the floor, and that's going to ensure that you're keeping your core muscles engaged and that you're not compromising your lumbar spine or your low back by hyperextending. We're getting close to our time. Okay, there, go ahead and relax. Now the next movement is going to be a single leg bridge. So similar to the bridge we just did, but now just one leg on the floor. The opposite leg is straight out in front. Again, use your arms for support on the ground for this, especially as you're starting. And so you can not over rotate with your upper body, but rather keep this nice stable position. The focus again should be core muscles engaged, butt muscles engaged, and pushing through your heel on the foot that's on the ground. Go ahead and switch legs, and now we're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite leg. Again, core tight, butt tight. Continue to breathe, and then push through that heel to raise your hips up off the ground. You're only going to go as high as you comfortably can, and again, just take it at your own pace. We're almost done with our 50 seconds here, and then we're going to transition to the next movement. Okay, there you go. Go ahead and relax. The next movement now is a flutter kick. Now, this is another challenging movement for your core and abdominal muscles. And again, you want to make sure that you're not arching your low back because this can cause some problem. And check in with that with your hands by reaching under, poking under, making sure there's not space between the floor and your low back. Now with this, we're constantly, continuously engaging our core, and then we're just alternating this nice little flutter movement with our legs. Now that's something that you can make larger or smaller, and then again, you can raise your legs higher towards the ceiling to make it a little easier, or lower towards the ground to make it more difficult. You can also raise your shoulders off the ground or shoulder blades off the ground slightly to make sure that your core muscles are engaged, as you can see. Now we're almost to the 50 seconds. Okay, relax. And then we're going to transition to the next movement, which is another fun core challenging plank. So now with this, we're going to think about keeping our weight on our forearms and our toes, and then engaging those same core muscles, squeezing our butt. Again, a lot of similarities with these movements, just in different planes. And then we're going to try to maintain a steady breath while continuously working on those core and butt muscles. And then with the shoulder blades, try to keep thinking about keeping your shoulder blades down and back, but in a nice stable position, so your shoulder blades don't just wing off your back or are in a position of instability. So keep that core tight, continue to make sure that your butt muscles are engaged. We're getting close to our time here. Continue to breathe. This is where you really dig in. It's almost towards the end. Okay, go ahead and take a break. And then now we're going to stand up. And the next movement is a more dynamic movement. We're going to do some high stepping in place. So the goal with this now is to continue to practice that good posture that you've been working on throughout the exercises, and your core muscles are going to be engaged again, and then you're going to be trying to get that knee as high as you can towards your chest, and then alternating. And try to keep a pace that's not fast, you're not running in place, but this is more a quick high knee march. And so you're trying to bring your leg up as high as you can, alternate, and then continue that at a fairly swift pace, but you don't want to compromise your posture or your core. So make sure that you're continuously checking in with that. We're almost to the end of our 50 seconds here, so just keep that pace up. Knees as high as you can, good posture. Okay, go ahead and relax. The next thing we're going to do is our squats. This is, again, just like what we were doing towards the beginning. Keeping our knees away from each other, sitting back like we're sitting into a chair, pushing up through our heels, and continuing to maintain good posture and our core muscles engaged. I find, again, that it's helpful to kind of look towards towards the horizon is one way to think about it, or more straight ahead. Your vision might shift a little bit throughout the motion, which is totally fine, but it's not excessively up or excessively down. And again, our core muscles are engaged, our butt muscles are engaged, we're pushing up through those heels, getting close here. Just try to keep moving, keep your chest up, squeezing those butt muscles. And then we're about to our 50 seconds, and go ahead and rest. And then our last thing we're going to do here to finish it off is our jogging in place, which is just like we did to start with. Now, again, our goal is to continue to maintain that good posture, core muscles engaged, nice tall chest, and then shifting your weight side to side, just kind of bouncing back and forth, but keeping it really soft. And now we're just trying to kind of loosen everything up as we finish throughout that workout. We kind of challenged our muscles, got everything working really hard. Now we're gonna just loosen it up, get it to kind of calm down, and then we can move on with our day. Feel free to reach up over your head, stretch your arms up towards the ceiling, and then again, just think about nice big breaths and just kind of loosening up after you worked really hard and got all those muscles working for you. And you're almost to the end of your 50 seconds here. Shake off those arms, loosen up. Good. And you're all done. Nice work.